Let's put aside the contemporary politics for a bit. Today's legal topic of choice? State constitutions. So, why does localism care about state constitutions? Remember that under both the absolute and reformist models, localism essentially cares about expanding the authority of local governments. And state constitutions are the documents that set out how the relationship between state governments and local governments works. That means, among the other legal reforms you need to do to achieve localism, you'd also need to amend state constitutions. Let's look at a representative sample of state constitutions that might give us an idea of how state constitutions generally provide for amendment. Let's start with Alaska. There's a couple ways to amend the Alaskan state constitution. The first one is for the state legislature to vote in favor of proposing an amendment to the people. And if a supermajority of politicians in the state government vote in favor of proposing an amendment, the amendment gets put on the ballot, and then state citizens vote on it, and if more citizens vote in favor of the amendment than against it, then the amendment passes. The other way to amend the Alaska state constitution is via state constitutional convention. Every 10 years, Alaska places a question on its statewide ballot that says, "Hey, citizens, should we call a statewide constitutional convention?" If a majority of people vote in favor of the convention, then the next step is for the people to elect delegates. These delegates then serve at the convention, and the convention proposes amendments if a majority of the delegates there vote in favor of presenting that proposal to the people. The proposed amendment is placed on the ballot, and if a majority of Alaskans vote in favor of the proposed amendment, it passes. Now let's talk about California's state constitution. Actually, California's state constitution can be amended in ways that are pretty similar to how Alaska's state constitution can. It can be amended by the state legislature proposing an amendment and then state citizens voting on it. It can also be amended by a state constitutional convention, although unlike Alaska, the question of whether to hold one doesn't automatically get placed on the ballot. Instead, the California state legislature has to vote to put that question, should we have a state constitutional convention, on the ballot. California also has a third way of amending its state constitution. This is via the initiative process. The initiative process involves going out and getting signatures from state citizens. If enough signatures are collected, then the amendment gets put on the ballot and the state's people get to vote on it. The power to propose amendments by initiative gives state citizens the ability to propose amendments themselves instead of relying on elected delegates to a state constitutional convention or their elected representatives in the state government. Texas, the last state we'll talk about today, provides only one way to amend its state constitution, and that's for the state legislature to propose an amendment and then the people to vote on it. That means that only elected party politicians get to have any role in proposing amendments to Texas's state constitution. Without the power of the initiative or the power to regularly call for a state constitutional convention, aside from voting for their elected representatives, Texans have essentially no control over what constitutional amendments might be proposed for their state constitution.